A first look at the 2026-27 Utah Jazz. And are there minutes for all the young guys? Are there spots on the roster for all the young guys? Next on Locked on Jazz.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke. Welcome to Locked on Jazz. On today's show, we are going to look at the importance of the last 24 games. Last night's not very good performance by the youngsters. What must Austin Ainge do in a big look for the first time at the 2026-27 Utah Jazz roster and what it means? All right. I've been talking about this for a little while. And so I thought today it would have some value if we could actually just walk through it and make some sense out of it, of what I mean. The Jaren Jackson Jr. trade has changed everything for the Utah Jazz, where they sit, what it means, how they're moving forward. In the simplest sense, they're now in. They're now going for it. The Jazz goals and expectations will be to be where the Houston Rockets, LA Lakers, Minnesota Timberwolves are right now, competing for 4, 5, or 6 in the Western Conference. I don't think that's outlandish. The windows in the NBA, the length of time in which your window stays open, are so short now that I don't think you can slow walk your way up the standings anymore. Detroit's not slow walking its way up the standings. San Antonio's not slow walking its way up the standings. They obviously have Victor Wembanyama. They have some special talent in Cade Cunningham, but that's not the mold by which we're doing things anymore. And so the Jazz have to be in. And you have Jaren Jackson Jr., you have Lauri Markkanen, both now combined at close to $100 million. You're going to have to pay Walker. Keonte's coming. This is your core iteration one. And I keep saying this, and then I keep saying another thing here. I want to take today to really delve into these comments. The other thing I keep saying is that this is a vitally important next stretch of 24 games for the remaining 4 players. We started with 7. We're down to 5 young players, and whether or not and how they fit into the equation of this season or into next season. So what I mean by that, Keonte, I think, has established himself. And we said when the year started, if we go back to when the very year started, we said there were 7 young players. Keonte, Bryce, Taylor, Isaiah, Cody, Kyle, Walter Clayton Jr. Those 7, we needed 2 or 3 of them to hit. Okay? 1 has hit, Keonte. 2 have been moved on. We're down to 4. And now the question is, 1, what role can those 4, if any, play on the 2026-27 Utah Jazz? And that's what they're trying to prove right now, under difficult circumstances. Last night, they clearly failed to prove that. But that's under difficult circumstances. It is not necessarily a fair status for them to try without Keonte, without Nurk, without Jaren Jackson, without the players. It's a very contextual thing. Like what we found out last night is that Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski, Bryce Sensabaugh, Cody Williams are not ready to start against a top 4 team in the Western Conference in a game that matters. They got just blasted last night. All of their weaknesses showed up. That's not entirely what we're looking at, though. So let's start with what are the 26-27 Utah Jazz as we know it right now. Okay? The 26-27 Utah Jazz, as of right now, are Keonte George, Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson Jr., and I would suspect Walker Kessler. That's obviously a question mark, but he's a restricted free agent. I think you'll get it done. I'm gonna for this conversation, we're gonna plan on getting done. Those are 4 of the starting 5. Ace Bailey is most likely the other starting 5. But, as was clear last night against Houston, his ball handling is not good enough to relieve the pressure on the primary ball handler. His physical strength is not good enough to handle the pressure and the physicality that Houston showed, and he struggled. I assume that Ace Bailey will start next year to open the year, that he'll get better in the offseason. But let's just be total. This conversation is going to be honest and just kind of, we're going to walk through it. The Ace Bailey we're seeing right now, probably not good enough as a 19-year-old rookie to be a starter on a team that's competing for fourth in the West. Now, next year he'll be better because he has another year experience. And as we talked about on yesterday's show, the model of Jason Tatum is real. And if you look at what Jason Tatum's role was in year 2, it still fits perfectly. And that was a very good basketball team. Jason Tatum in year 2 averaged about 16 points a game. He played 30 minutes a night. He was a more advanced player than Ace Bailey, a more mature player than Ace Bailey. But the opening night starting lineup for that Boston Celtic team, in a very similar way, Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, and Jason Tatum, what a team. He was probably, if you go look at opening night that first year, Jason Tatum takes the most shots. I'm not sure he's the number one option. That team ends up fighting for possessions and struggling and not being nearly quite the team that everyone thought they were going to be with everything that was going on, right? That's a team that I think by the end of the year kind of disappointed a little bit with that team, but I think it was because they started to fight for possessions. Not different side story. Don't want to get lost in it. So let's start walking this down the road. So we have those 5. We have a draft pick who will be a rotation player, but trying to figure it out because they'll be young. And then I actually think you have Svi Mikhailuk, who has proven that he can probably play on any caliber team as a rotation player. I think he's made a jump in his career that means that I can probably plan on Svi Mikhailuk as a rotation player in the NBA, on a playoff team, in a big moment. He's tough as hell. He knows how to play. So let's walk through what this roster that looks like. Now, Austin Ainge now starts to surround this team with veteran players. If you're Austin Ainge, there's 2 primary things you need to add to this roster as it sits right now. A backup center. Your first choice is probably Yusuf Nurkic, if the market doesn't yield him anything and he wants to come back at a number that's acceptable. If not, you're trying to find some sort of solid, defensive-minded backup center with an understanding that Jaren Jackson Jr. can play some minutes at center. Your second move is some sort of ball handler. Now, we need another ball handler. And the reason I kind of hesitated on Ace as the starter is because maybe there's a chance that Ace becomes the 6th man because you actually have somebody else who's a good ball handler that complements Lauri, Jaren, and Walker better than Ace Bailey. And Ace still plays 30 minutes a night, but he comes off the bench to do it. I doubt it, but we do definitely need some ball handling in that. So those are now all of a sudden, all right, you have a backup center. So we have our starting 5, we'll call Ace in it. We have the rookie, that's 6. We have the backup center, that's 7. We have another ball handler, that's 8. We need some sort of a scorer or bench player that's 9. And now you kind of have your primary rotation. Svi Mikhailuk's in there as well. So the question now is, does Kyle Filipowski fit that role? Does Isaiah Collier fit one of those roles? Does Bryce Sensabaugh fit one of those roles? Or can Cody Williams fit one of those roles? Let's walk through that next on Locked on Jazz. Tuesday edition of Locked on Jazz brought to you by Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also located in Logan and in Linden. There's nothing like the Murdochs. They want to make sure you have the no regrets experience. They're going to give you every single ounce of their heart and soul to make sure that you have a great experience in the Hyundai car. Absolutely fabulous. I'm driving the Palisade, not today, as you can see on YouTube. It's beautiful. The calligraphy edition has absolutely everything you could imagine. Heated third row of seats, mechanical up and down. Everything works perfectly. It's just a mastermind for what it is, the price point. The Santa Fe hybrid was amazing. 500 miles per fill-up of gas tank with a hybrid. overwhelmingly great. If you're heading out to get a car and you're looking in the market right now, let's get you set up at Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also located in Logan and in Linden. Email me at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com to get you set up with a VIP meeting at Murdoch Hyundai. Today's show is also brought to you by Indeed. Are you in the job market right now? Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, the one position you have to fill still sitting open with the pressure on. You need the right hire, and that's where the sponsored jobs at Indeed helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In a minute that I'm talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching, more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed-sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is the job for Indeed-sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get you a $75 sponsored job credit to help you get the premium status you deserve at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by saying you heard it here on Locked On Jazz, the podcast. Indeed.com/podcast, $75 sponsored job. We're setting it up for you. You need to hire. This job is for Indeed sponsored jobs. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. Thank you so much for joining the show. And thank you for all the everydayers out there. We have the brand new Everydayer Club All Access. Those people are getting our daily reports on each game. From my notes, they get one-on-one texting with me. The Jusuf Nurkic news came out yesterday that he was out for the year. We broke that down for you. Probably should be doing more of that today, but I pre-decided we were doing this. And the Impact will do that. We'll do that throughout the week. We have time. You got the breaking news sent right to you in your inbox. My analysis of what it meant, Nurkic's future with the Jazz, all sent right to you. Leaf Tuline's giving you bonus content. It's the way to be the most in-touch Jazz fan out there. If you want to be a part of the special Discord community as well, it's the All Access Club. Go to lockedonjazz.supercast.com. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. lockedonjazz.supercast.com, and sign up. It's $15 a month with a promo code JJJ. You get the first month off. If you want to do an annual, you get 2 months off. Promo code JJJ gets you the first month off at the Locked On Everyday Club. If you just want to be part of our Discord community and get ad-free Locked On Jazz and ad-free Locked On Sports today, that's $5 a month at the Everydayer Club. Same place. Go to Everydayer Club, lockedonjazz.supercast.com, lockedonjazz.supercast.com. All right, let's start backwards. Jusuf Nurkic returning to the Jazz. We'll have a longer conversation about it. He was great this year. Would be ideal. But it's really going to be a question of whether Jusuf Nurkic, because of his improved play this year, gets a market that isn't big numbers. Nurkic cannot come back at the same number if we pay Walker. And Nurk is wonderful, had a great year. The one thing about Nurk is he's not a very good defensive player, hasn't been for years, and we didn't really care about that. There is a level here where this year Nurk was great for us and deserves all the accolades in his passing and his movement and all these things in his screen setting. And there's a ton of things we can learn and we need. But there was also a very good ease to what's happening with the playing on a team that wins 25 games. And so Nurk is probably a backup center in the NBA, and if his market dries up, we'd love to have him back. So Walker's the starting center for 30 minutes a night. There's 18 other minutes for a backup center. It's probably Nurk. But Jaren Jackson can play 6 or 8 or 10 of those. And then the question is, can Filipowski fit any of this role? Like, let's think about the roster. What does Kyle do? Your power forward is Jaren Jackson. Jaren Jackson's probably playing 30 minutes a night at power forward, and he's probably playing another 8 or 10 minutes at center. So now you've suddenly, that's going to fill up 42 of your center minutes. You got like 6 center minutes you're just kind of playing with here. That's your 10th man in your rotation, unless you have a defined backup center. This is why you're not playing a lot of money for a backup center. If you have Nurk, you'll change that. You'll have Kessler plays 30, Nurk plays 18, probably Kessler plays 28, Nurk plays 20. JJ plays 38 a night at power forward. Lauri plays the other 10 at power forward and plays if he's playing 35 minutes, plays 25 minutes at small forward. So in that big spot, like what's Kyle Filipowski's spot in that? Where are those minutes? And it's probably to be exactly what he's developing as. A hybrid 4-5 who really is going to have to take a jump to prove he's a rotation player on a playoff team. Now, if you don't sign a backup center, can Kyle Filipowski give you 8 or 9 or 10 minutes a night as a backup center? Can Kyle Filipowski, remember the average NBA player loses about 10 games a year. So, Walker you're going to be missing 10 games from your center. It might be more now, maybe 12. You're going to be missing 10 or 12 games from your backup center. You're going to be missing 10 or 12 games from JJ. You're going to be missing 10 or 12 games from Lauri. Can Kyle Filipowski play those 18 minutes a night as the fifth big, vacillating between the center and the power forward? That's what you're trying to find out from Kyle Filipowski in the next 24 games. Is he good enough on a good team? On opening night, maybe he doesn't play if your roster's built the correct way. But on 45 to 50 to 60 nights of the year, there's going to be an injury, and he's got to fill in either as 14 minutes at a backup center or 20 minutes as a power forward. Can Kyle Filipowski do that well enough? Can Kyle Filipowski's defense hold him? He's getting so much better at so many things. He's understanding when to try to rim finish over smaller players. Was good against Şengün about it. Dominated the smaller Memphis guys. He's getting better somewhat in space. He's getting isolated all the time. He's getting a little better at it. His shooting is still not quite there, right? Like we have a bunch of guys whose shooting numbers, maybe because they're not playing, because they're playing with too big a burden, but a lot of guys, suddenly their shooting numbers have slid under where you'd want him to be. Filipowski, I think, after last night is now at about 34% from three. Like, he's got to be, that's below league average. League average is 36, 37% from three. Kyle's at 33.8 from three now. Is that maybe for a fifth big? That's good enough. But that's the standard we're looking for Kyle Filipowski. Is he good enough to be that player? And that's what the next 24 games are here to prove. Last night, that was a tough one, right? This was a tough night last night. Our guys got hammered last night, which is fine. Houston's really, really good, and we weren't playing with our best guys. But that's the lesson, and that's what we're trying to learn on a nightly basis here from our guys. Filipowski, last night, 4 of 10, 13.6 turnovers. The turnover numbers are big when he puts the ball on the deck. Right now, it's a problem. All right, let's go to the other side. Let's go to the guard. Keonte is going to play 36 minutes a night. We have 12 minutes for a backup guard. There is a 2-guard spot that Ace Bailey probably owns because he needs to play 30-some-odd minutes a night. But if Lauri, let's go with the backup center scenario. So Jaren is playing 36 minutes a night as the power forward. Lauri's playing 12 as the power forward. Lauri's now playing 24. There's 24 minutes available at a small forward position. They're probably Ace Bailey. And there's probably 8 minutes at a shooting guard position. Okay? There's not many small forward minutes here available. I think Lauri and Ace take almost all of those. But the shooting guard position, there's 40 minutes to me of shooting guard minutes available for the Utah Jazz. And there's next year. That's the big gap to me. And there's probably, now, some of that goes to whoever we draft. And depending on who we draft on all these positions, it may slide the other way, right? If we suddenly draft somebody who fills that role we just talked about, the backup center, this is okay, well, then that's done. If we draft somebody who needs some of the shooting guard minutes or is the backup point guard to Keonte, then that's done. The draft gets really interesting. This is where the extra work Leaf is doing for everydayers really plays into things fascinatingly. But let's start with Isaiah Collier for a second. He's got to be a point guard. He does not shoot well enough to play anything but point guard. Is Isaiah Collier ready and good enough to be Keonte George's backup point guard for 14 minutes a night? But let me ask another question here. Do you want Keonte? How many minutes a night would you like Keonte to possibly play in that shooting guard gap? Right? So if Keontae's playing 36 minutes a night, do you want him playing 10 minutes a night as your shooting guard? And now all of a sudden that backup point guard's 22 minutes a night. And is Isaiah Collier good enough for 22 minutes a night? And do you want he and Keonte playing together for 12 or 14 minutes a night? Does that give you what you want out of Isaiah Collier? Isaiah Collier's three-point shooting, which is just a vital part of this game, has now slid under 30% for the season, down to 28%. He's 50% overall, but he's playing 26 minutes a night right now. The only guards in the NBA that shoot the three as rarely as Isaiah Collier, though he's begun to shoot it more, are Amen Thompson, Dyson Daniels, Brandon Williams, who I think is a borderline NBA player, and the other two are two of the best defensive players in all of the NBA. So Collier in the next 24 games is one trying to prove on the simplest form, I can be the backup for 14 to 16 minutes a night behind Keonte George, come in for 6-7 minutes a night, be a game-changing tempo player, be a 94-foot pickup guard. But even more, can he prove I'm actually better than that? And I deserve 24 a night. We're going to slide Keonte over to some of the 2 minutes. And now the 40 minutes of open 2 minutes opens up. What about Cody Williams or Bryce Sensabaugh in those open 40 minutes of shooting guard minutes? Next on Locked On Jazz. Today's edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Have you ever wanted to go to the NBA Finals? I would like to go to the NBA Finals. I haven't been to the NBA Finals since the 90s. So FanDuel is giving you a chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip or two. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board, thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock in. I love futures. Well, I like just looking at them not to play. I'm not allowed to play these things. So whether it's picking a team to win a championship, grab a conference title, any of the extra layers of excitement, could be who's going to win awards, you can do that now. And now not only can you pick and cash in, but you can also send you to the NBA Finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. It's FanDuel, chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals while betting a sports future. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. All right. So the gap that's so fascinating to me is this 40 minutes. Because Keonte could slide over if somebody earns the backup point guard minutes, or if you sign, maybe you really need ball handling and you sign a fairly established backup point guard that plays 24 minutes a night. And then Isaiah Collier plays your fifth guard because he really has to be a point guard and he's just coming off the bench to change a pace and be something. He's your 11th man on your roster. There's a real chance that Kyle Filipowski is your 11th. Isaiah Collier's your 12th, Bryce Sensabaugh's your 13th, and Cody Williams your 14th guy next year. Like, these are massively important minutes for those four guys. They have 24 games to prove to Austin Ainge that Austin Ainge does not need to sign someone to play those minutes. It's awesome. It's kind of fun. It's almost like Survivor. So let's talk about the 40 minutes. Can Bryce Sensabaugh be an off the bench scorer on a high-level playoff team? I mean, you should probably do the exercise where you run through the top teams in the Western Conference and ask yourself, when they're full strength, are any of our guys playing? Because that's really the question. That's what you're competing with. When San Antonio last night rolls out Devin Vassell, Julian Champagnie, Victor Wembanyama, De'Aaron Fox, Stephen Castle, Keldon Johnson, Luke Cornett, Dylan Harper, and Harrison Barnes as their 9-man rotation last night. Are any of our guys playing ahead of them? Who's our Julian Champagnie? How do we find this guy in the midst of this. Sean Penny, by the way, shooting 37% from three, playing 28 minutes a night. But the Spurs are on fire. But do any of our guys play ahead of Devin Vassell, Julian Champagny, Victor Wembanyama, De'Aaron Fox? Not of our bench, not our 6 guys we're talking about. Not our starting 5 next year, not our draft pick. But do Cody or Bryce or Kyle or Isaiah Collier or Svi Mikhailuk? By the way, I think Svi's part of that 40. Here's Detroit. Amen Thompson, Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren, Duncan Robinson, Cade Cunningham. They regularly have Isaiah Stewart, Karis LeVert. They got the Jenkins kid out of the two-way that busted through. That's what one of our guys has to do. And Ron Holland. Ron Holland's kind of their Ace Bailey. That's their 9. Javonte Green. Like, how do we find a Julian Champagny, Javonte Green type? That's what Austin Ainge is going to be summoned to do. Can our guys do that? Those are guys that have tasted the other side of an NBA career that came back and understood how to play defense. Can Bryce Sensabaugh be an off? Julian Champagny does a nice job defensively, but Champagny's, playing 28 minutes a night. We don't probably need 28 minutes a night, but he's shooting 38% from three. Bryce right now is shooting 34.8% from three, 45% overall, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists a game, 22 minutes a night. Does Bryce have the offensive prowess to be an impact player on a good team for 22 minutes a night of that shooting guard position? Can he eat up some of that 40? Can Cody Williams get his shooting together to a point where his defensive strengths get to show and improve his ball handling? Cody's shooting 22% from three for the second straight year. He's much better, 47% around the rim, getting to the basket, finishing. We've seen the explosion, the athleticism. We've seen the good defensive prowess in there. Is he good enough? The small forward minutes to me are gone. Between Lauri, Ace Bailey. The power forward minutes are almost gone between JJ and Lauri. Now, if we draft someone who plays that, we'll have to figure it out. The center minutes between Walker and whoever plays backup center are almost gone. What gets fascinating is where Austin Ainge feels that Isaiah Collier, Bryce Sensabaugh, and Cody Williams are ready to make contributions, and where he has to fill it in. We do not have enough ball handling on this roster. Does he believe that Isaiah Collier's ball handling is sufficient enough and good enough that he can play off Keonte and you don't need to fill it as much as, or do we really actually need a really good other ball handler who maybe even plays 25, 30 minutes a night? Hard to sign these guys, but you find a way. I don't think we'll have a lot of long-term contracts to guys with our money situation. Can Bryce Sensabaugh give you 22 minutes a night as you look at it? As you look at these rosters are not as, like, having 48 minutes of NBA minutes is vital now. Can Bryce Sensabaugh be Christian Brown of Denver? Right? Julian Strawther's playing because Aaron Gordon's hurt, but, they're like Denver, who I still think has, they just have not put it together this year. At some point, you have to. Aaron Gordon, Johnson, Jokic, Christian Brown's playing 35 as a starter. Jamal Murray, their bench is Tim Hardaway Jr. 28, Bruce Brown 25 minutes, Valanciunas playing 12 minutes at the backup center. And then they've got Jones and Strawther have kind of stepped in. Can Bryce Sensabaugh be that Strawther? Can Cody Williams be that Jones? That's what you're asking. The Lakers, a team we'll be competing with next year. Right now, they have their LeBron, Marcus Smart, DeAndre Ayton, Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic. Their bench is Jake LaRavia. Yeah. Luke Kennard. Can some of our guys do that? Rui Hashimura and Jared Vanderbilt. Sure. It's a pretty weak bench. It's part of the problem. Can we find a way to have them do that? That's what you're asking here. Can our guys in the next 24 minutes prove to Austin Ainge, yeah, I can be that guy? Minnesota incredibly thin right now. And showed it against Philadelphia last time out. Their starters with Gobert, Randall, McDaniels, Edwards, DiVincenzo. But then now they're playing Ayo DeSumo as a backup guard who they just acquired. Terrence Shannon trying to play. Can Bryce Sensabaugh do that? You bet. Bones Highland. Can Isaiah Collier do that? Yes, but I'm not sure those guys are good enough. And they keep holding on, hoping that Mike Conley can bring it back together. I'm not sure he can. And obviously they have Nasridis. They're 6 men. They're 6 heavy. It's a fascinating final 24 games. And there just aren't. Our roster is suddenly gotten thick. And so is there a chance that Kyle Filipowski, Cody Williams, Isaiah Collier, and Bryce Sensabaugh are on this roster next year as 11, 12, 13, and 14? Yep. That's how different the Jazz could be next year. But there's also a chance that Kyle Filipowski establishes himself at that 5th big and is playing 15 to 20 minutes a night for 50 nights a year as he fills in those gaps when guys are hurt. There's a chance that Bryce Sensabaugh proves in the next 24 games that he understands how to consistently play night in and night out, and he becomes that Julian Strawther for 22 minutes a night off the bench. There's a chance that Isaiah Collier proves that he can pick up 94 feet, impact a game, doesn't have to go one-on-one, can play it, can figure out how to survive, and be a 14 to 20 minute a night backup. There's a chance that Cody Williams in the offseason gets stronger and improves his shot enough to prove he can do this. It's pretty awesome. And that is today's Locked On Jazz. 26-27, Utah Jazz are going to be awesome. We can't get there soon enough. Last night was obviously not good. We'll talk about it a little bit yesterday. And tomorrow we'll talk about Nurkic, and also the Detroit Pistons are an interesting thing we'll look at coming up throughout this week. If you'd like to follow me on socials, it's DLocko9. My dad's out skiing. I'm going to go join him now. Thanks very much for tuning into the show today. If you want to join the Everydayer program, we'd love to have you. It's lockedonjazz.everydayer.com. LockedOnJazz.supercast.com to jump aboard and be a part of it. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. Love to have you aboard the program and be a part of our exclusive group of all access members. Now we say the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel, Locked On NBA on YouTube. Also on audio, check out Game Night, every game, every night. Plus the big 3 and 30 is a lot of fun.